Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mings, and I just wanted to make a very quick video about a news article I came across, which I think could have huge ramifications for future Fire Emblem games. And not just Fire Emblem, but anime and games in general. I will link this news article in the video description if you guys want to go check it out for yourself, but quickly summarized, the Japanese government is proposing a new policy for anime and game expansion in the West. They are tired of Western localizers changing their medium to better fit the standards over here. And they want their media to be preserved by basically enforcing a law saying that you are not allowed to change our medium to fit your standards. The way we present our stories in games, that's how you have to present them in the West if you want to be able to sell our games. What I think is very interesting about this is that this, if it actually is enacted, will have huge ramifications for future Fire Emblem games. Now, if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that I have a bone to pick with localizers of modern Fire Emblem games. I absolutely hate how they change certain characters for seemingly no reason at all. Sometimes it seems like they do it just because they want to. Now, there are examples of this being done right, like for example with Fire Emblem 7, they aged Lyn up from 15 to 18. This is because Lyn is very often depicted in sexual ways, showing a lot of legs in her official artwork, so it kind of makes sense to age her up. This doesn't really have any ramifications in the game. I don't think her age is even mentioned in Fire Emblem 7 dialogue, but it is mentioned in certain magazines and stuff. But then, of course, you have localization changes that just kind of end up ruining characters. I think one of the first times I heard about this controversy was with Henry from Awakening. Henry's character was completely neutered in the localization of Awakening. He was a super dark and gritty character in the original Japanese game, and they turned him into sort of like a comic relief character in the localization. Then, of course, we have some more modern examples, like with Goldmary from Fire Emblem Engage. In one of her supports, Goldmary is very scared because she has put on a few extra pounds and she is embarrassed to be seen in public. Yet the localizers apparently found this too offensive for a Western audience, so they changed it to her showing off a grimace or something in public. The whole support is just asinine. It makes absolutely zero sense. It feels like a fever dream watching it back. In the original, it actually makes sense because Goldmary is very concerned with her appearance, so her just putting on a few pounds is enough for her to have like a midlife crisis. But of course, we can't say that being fat is bad in the West now, so the localizers were like, yeah, we have to change that. And there are like tons of changes to the localization. Many people say that Fire Emblem Fates actually had a better story in Japanese and that the localizers just butchered it, and that's why the Fate story felt so bad. I don't know if I believe that. At the end of the day, I don't read Japanese, so I'm not able to confirm or deny this for myself, but it might very well be true that Treehouse did a poor job with the localization of Fates, and that's why the dialogue feels so jarring. But anyway, this video isn't meant to cover every single localization change done to Fire Emblem. I just want to point out the fact that changes are everywhere, to the point where we're almost playing a different game story-wise. And I don't like that. I've never been fond of that. In fact, many times I've considered learning Japanese just so I can play the Fire Emblem games in their original forms to see just how different they are. I think the job of a localizer is to just be a translator, to be as faithful as possible to the original script and changing as little as possible to convey the narrative. Obviously, Japanese and English are two very different languages, so there has to be certain changes made to some dialogue, but I think the job of a localizer is to convey the original media in as faithful a way as they possibly can. And the problem is, we have a lot of ego-driven writers and translators in the West, people who think they can do a better job. This is also a very hot topic debate at the moment, with people thinking that they can write stories better than their original authors could. We're just seeing a lot of narcissistic, ego-driven writers in the West who really need to be toned down, and that's why I'm pretty happy to see that this law is potentially being enacted, because if it goes true and it becomes illegal to change characters in Fire Emblem, we might just see one of the first properly, faithfully translated Fire Emblem games coming out in the West. Maybe Treehouse just will not accept it and the job will be given to another company. I've just liked Treehouse for years now, and I would love for someone else to actually translate Fire Emblem to see if it's any better. Now, of course, it is important to note that at the moment, this is just a proposition, and we all know government moves very slowly. It might not end up being enacted at all. But I would love to hear your guys' opinion on this piece of news. Do you think that Japan should enforce this law? Do you think it should become illegal for localizers to change Japanese media in the West? Or do you think that this kind of clashes with freedom of speech, that we should have the ability to change what we want for a Western audience? Love to hear your opinions in the comment section below. Just wanted to make this video very quickly because I think it's a very fascinating piece of news. My name is Mengs, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.